Hey Tyler, Jasmine here, doing a quick feedback for you on your I assignment. I like your commentary that you said, now I forget it specifically, but it did make me laugh how the procedural did not get along. You two did not get along. Let's hope we can change that. Looking at your submission, I will say that yes, one, it looks like the painted texture is a little bit more successful than the procedural. Overall, I want to first look at your reference. And when I love that you put the reference there, and there's a couple things I want you to really look at when you look at this reference. One, for example, I know this is probably not the exact texture that you're putting on here. If it is, let me know. But we're seeing, like, for example, the the scale of the iris and the color associated with it is very different from what I'm seeing, let's say, in your painted texture. Like right here, if I were to say that this brown area is similar to this area in the reference, then the scale of this should be a lot smaller, and the kind of brown area should be only isolated around the pupil here, as we see here, and more green in the iris area, and then a very distinct, if you look at all irises, they always have, it's almost like an outline around them, right? And it's not necessarily a black outline, especially for light colored eyes like this, but it is a darker shade of whatever color it is. In this case, it's a bit of a darker shade of a green. And sometimes I even like to like color pick it to see what the values are in that color to get the exact thing. But I'd love to see that here. So the scale on the painted is a little bit too large. And I'm looking at it, I think the bump also on this might be going a little bit too far. It's looking a little bit too, what's the word? There's like a Photoshop thing when you, I'm not thinking of it. It's like almost like upping the sharpness and the detail to the extent that it's like structure. That's more of an Instagram filter, but it's the structure filter. It's that structure filter where like you just pump it up, and that's what it's kind of feeling like here. Where if you look at irises in general, they're a little bit more softer. So I would kind of scale back on that if that's the bump. Um, and then, yeah, so those are the things that I'd work on initially: scale, getting the color, and yes, everything like that, and especially like these little subtle details like the outline. Now, let's go on to your painted, the one that you guys are, arguing with one another about. And I see the argument going on. Procedurals are not happy with you right now. And I mean, you have the base going, right? I see you have the layer of, let's say here, this is a ramp here, radial ramp, and then here you have the base color with kind of the noise. So the structure is there, and now we just have to massage it and, get it closer to what we're seeing here. And I would go maybe like one layer at a time, right? So you don't want to overcomplicate it. The way I like to do it is do one layer at a time. Let's say you do the noise layer first, right? You go with the green and the noise layer first. And I like overall this green color doesn't have any variation in it. It's a little bit too saturated, especially compared to the reference, but it's looking a little bit unnatural. And the key to the eye is when you're doing this is all about ramps and gradients, right? If you look at the eye, it's all a grad, kind of these nice transitions between different colors, and it's very organic still, but yet, there's so many values of colors in here, and there's tones of brown, and even like this yellowish, like mustardy almost speck that kind of goes in that. And you can definitely recreate this procedurally, and it's kind of fun. It's like it's a technical way of doing it, and it's almost mathematical. So, and the way you do it is also by layering the different procedurals among each other. So I would start there. Let's, you know, turn off one layer at a time and build on it. So, and an example also for the noise here, I would say, is the noise that you have going on here is black, which is fine to visualize it. But when you look at this iris here, do you see any black? No, you don't really see any black except in the pupil. So that's something to keep in mind when you're kind of working on this, and you want to match it as closely to the reference or into real life as possible. So start with that. Come back. I hope you guys find a way to get along, and next time I see this, I hope that there's a little bit more harmony between you two. But you've got it. You've got the base. You've obviously started layering it over one another too. You just need to start kind of, you know, dialing it in even further. And like I said, do one layer at a time. Don't try to put all the layers on at the same time. And just imagine this as like different layers. And what I would start with, like the base green first, right? Like let's start with the base green first with the and then the noise, and then you could put in at the very end be like the brown with, and then even like the speckles of yellow if you so desire, and things like that in the outline. So yeah, I hope I hope to see this soon, and if you have any questions, let me know. In the meantime, happy lighting.